Greetings! In this video I'm going to be talking you through how to make audio and video calls as part of your lessons using Teams. You should have watched all the videos so far, because I went through scheduling and talking with the class and creating a class, and so this is a series where I'm not going to be recapping what I've done before. So if you've just kind of come in at this point, you may have missed important details from before, but that is your choice. So we're going to be making a call, and also I'm going to be sharing with you the St Mary's policies in regards to making a call and what you should and should not be doing. You may well also have noticed that I've changed. I'm now at home, and just like you, I'm now barred from school, and I've also I've got various other bits and bobs around the screen to show you some of the other things that you can do if you wish. And I've also now downloaded the app onto my screen. So this is what the actual St Mary Teams app looks like on the screen. Very similar to the desktop version, but it is a little bit more powerful. It is a little bit more stable. So how do we get into the meeting that we scheduled last time? Now, the first thing to point out here is that when you schedule a meeting, at that point you are creating that room. So when I scheduled that meeting for next Monday, that meeting room exists, and anyone can enter that meeting room at any point. If I use my classroom as an example, SH2, I could walk into SH2 in time for the lesson, or I could walk into there an hour before or a week before or even afterwards. And actually you can do the same with this meeting room. You can join it at any time, and the students can actually join it at any time. Now, this isn't a problem, and it might actually be useful for you to be able to go in a little bit early, or even just kind of go in way before the lesson and play with it yourself and experiment. So it's a good idea, but think of it as an open room, and also you can join it, and so can your students if you've made that room in the channel that you're in. And there's a few ways you can join. So if I go back into my 8Q one that I scheduled, you can see here that Mr. Cox scheduled a meeting, and there's this kind of purplish bar here, and I can click on that meeting, and at the top you can see all the details, and you can see the button here that says join, and if I press that, it will take me in. The other way I can get there is I can click on the calendar, and I can go and find that scheduled meeting, which is probably above my head here, and I can click on that, and I can press join. And also I should have been sent an email. If I was a participant, there should have been an email that would have told people that this meeting is taking place, and again I should be able to press join through that. So there's various ways you can get in, but ultimately it's always going to take you back to roughly the same looking screen. If you're looking for a recommendation, I would probably come into the channel as I've done here for 8Q, see if anyone's kind of talking to each other here, or if there's any kind of questions. I might also at this point give instructions for the students when they join, and I'll come back to what my instructions might be. Actually, you know what, no, I'll talk about it now. Probably what I would do is I would stop the students speaking at this point. I would go into manage channel, and I would say that only owners can post messages, and then I would give the instructions for them joining at that point. And then I would go in and I would wait for the students to come in. So let's go in. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to press join. Now, I'm still not quite into the room. I've got my handle on the door to the room and I'm about to walk in, but it's giving me a couple of options. It's asking me if I want to have my webcam on, it's asking me if I want to have my microphone on, and it's asking me about custom setup. Now let's go into custom setup first of all. If you have more than one set of speakers and more than one set of microphones on your system, then you need to make sure you've chosen the correct one. And I've kind of got a USB microphone plugged in, which is slightly better quality. You can probably hear that I'm slightly better, less echoey now than I was back at school. But make sure you've got the correct settings there. And there's also an option to make a test call if you want to test your microphone, test your camera to make sure it's all working right. That would be a good button for you to press. Now, the very, very first time you join a meeting, you might get something pop up on your screen that says, can Microsoft Teams have access to your camera and your microphone? And I would probably say yes at that point, because that's like a general permission setting. It's asking you, can I ever look at your webcam? Can I ever look at your microphone? And I'd probably say yes, because you can always turn it on or off before you join the meeting. So what I'm going to do for this particular meeting is I'm just going to have both of them off before I join, because I want to control when they can hear me and when they can't. And I'm going to press join. And I'm in. That is it. That's all you've got to do to get to join the meeting is click on that purple button, press join, choose webcam on, webcam off, hit join, and you're in. And any of the students can also join you at this point. Well, how do you know if they're in? Well, come down here. There's a little black bar that will appear when you move your mouse, and in some apps it seemed to be when you moved it towards the bottom of the screen. But get this little bar to show up by moving around, and then look for this little button here with two little people saying show participants. And you will see that I am currently talking to myself, and you can also see that my microphone in this particular meeting is off, because you can see that little microphone with a line through it. Now this will also allow you to see if the students' microphones are on or off. Probably if you can hear them, they're probably on, but it might help you know which student is actually kind of talking. But having that participants window will help you know which students are there. I mean, think of it like a bit like a register really, and who's currently there in that meeting with you. Now, I said you might want to give students instructions, so I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of policy here. Now, students should not be using their webcams under any circumstances. That is the St Mary's policy. They are at home in a personal environment, and so their webcam should be off. Unfortunately, because Teams is a business app first, and it's kind of become a classroom app second, at the moment, as of March, we don't have the power to turn their webcams off. We have to tell them to do so. So if you can see them, you to give them, do whatever discipline routine you normally do. Give them a warning, give them a second warning. Make your own judgment about whether they just don't understand how to turn it off. But you can give them those instructions. And what I would do is I would tell the students that when they're joining the call, before they join the call, they have to turn off both their camera and their microphone before they come in. And you could even kick them out of the meeting if they join with either of them kind of turned on. You could, especially for the first few meetings, you might want to have a very strict. If you join with your either of those things off, I will boot you out straight away. And so until they come in with those things off, you're just going to kick them out. How do you do that? Well, when they appear in the meeting, they will be up here, and then there'll be a little option here that you can click on. There'll be dots, and you click on the. Remember how ... always gives you additional options, like it does here. There'll be ... and you'll click there. You might have the ability to mute them, and you'll also have the ability to remove them from the call. And so that is a place where you can kind of control exactly what's happening here. Now, you can only, there's another little addition to this, is that I am an organizer. You see that? I'm an organizer. If a student joins and they are a presenter, you might not be able to mute them, but you should be able to then make them an attendee. Now, you should have watched the previous video that I put in. If you've set up this call in advance and you've changed it so that the only presenter is you through the meeting options, and go back to that video to do that, it should make them attendees all by default, which should give you the power to mute them and also to remove them from the call if need be. But you can move them here as well. So this participants panel is very important for seeing who is here and also controlling them in the call. This is effectively your ability to kind of discipline them and stop them showing things that they shouldn't be showing. I'm just going to pause the recording for a second. Okay, now there's loads and loads of things that we can do in these calls, which I'm going to be showing you in future videos about how we can share documents, how we can share desktops, how we can put all sorts of cool things on the screen. And you can play for yourself. There's loads of buttons down here, but there's three things that I want to point out to you. The first one is that at any point you can turn your camera on and camera off, your microphone on and your microphone off. And you can do that repeatedly throughout the meeting. So if I just unmute my microphone now and then mute it again, and a call, you don't necessarily need to be talking to them all the time. And especially if someone kind of walks into your room or something like that, you might then quickly want to turn your microphone or kind of camera off. And you can also leave the call and rejoin the call. So if I now press hang up on this particular call, it says leaving, but the call is still there. The students may still be there, and I can go back in. So think of it like this. You could have a situation where you start a lesson and you say, hey everyone, let's join the call. Let's have 10 minutes together, introduce an idea, talk to them for a little bit, send them off to do a task, and say, right, we're going to meet back together on the call at 11:45. I'll see you then. And then when you come back, you can then type something like, hey students, it's 11:45, time to go back on, and then go back in, join again. So just like and then you have to press again, choose your options, and then join the call. So you can join, you can leave, you can join, you can leave, as much as you want, and the students can do the same, which is perhaps then another good reason to keep the participants list up, because then you can see if any of the students suddenly drop off, and you can try and work out why that might be and get them back if necessary. So camera can be turned on and off at any point. Microphone can be turned off on and off at any point, as can other things like desktops and files, and I'll show you that in the next video. And again, you can join and leave the call repeatedly throughout it with no problem. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about in this video is whether you should have your webcam on, whether you should be showing the students yourself. Now, this is a school policy issue, and I'm going to explain what it is you should be doing and giving you some advice for it as well. So the advice is that if you want to record yourself teaching something, it's probably better to do it in a pre-recorded segment, where if something goes wrong or something happens or something else appears on screen that you didn't mean to show, you just go, oh well, that went wrong, stop the recording and start again. And I'll show you in a future tutorial how you can record it. So I was talking to the maths department earlier, and they yesterday, and they were saying they've got this whiteboard ready to go, and they're going to film themselves doing all the sums and the calculations, and then they're going to make that video, and then they're going to put that video on Firefly. And there's two advantages of that, one of which I already mentioned, which is it's controlled, because you have decided this video is ready and good to go. And secondly, by putting that video on Firefly, it means any student can access it at any time during that lesson, or at any point during the day, or if they're ill that day, they can look at it the day after. So by recording that teaching section, it's a lot more versatile as well. So most of the time you will probably be doing that method, and I can show you that in a future tutorial if you'd like. You let me know. But can you show your face on a video? Yes, you can. You can, in a live video, yes, you can. You can turn your webcam on, as long as you are in a controlled environment where the students are not going to be seeing anything that they shouldn't be seeing. So personal items around you on your shelves or on your walls that might look unprofessional. Are your children suddenly going to be kind of running in and kind of appearing on camera? That wouldn't be acceptable. Pets kind of flying in, partners walking past with a cup of tea or with their shirts off or whatever it might be. So the policy is that you can show your webcam, and there may be advantages to doing so. Like, it's nice to have a bit of human contact. It might be reassuring for the students and the parents to kind of see you. It might be easier for them to understand you if they can see your lips while you talk. It might be more exciting to talk about the wonders of economics if they can kind of see you getting excited about it. You know, there are advantages to putting yourself on camera, as long as you are doing it in an environment where you know that what is going to happen. I need to work on my environment. You've probably noticed there's a kind of a weird white blob behind me. That's because I've got a weird stream of light coming in that's messing up my green screen a little bit. I took down a picture earlier. You might want to create a place in your house which is now like your presentation place, and ideally a place where you can close the door and you can say, right, I am teaching now, and my family needs to kind of stay out. If of course something happens, if say I was on webcam right now and my daughter suddenly kind of ran in, I could turn the camera straight off, and you should, if that was to happen. But try as far as humanly possible to only be showing your face on camera if you know it is a tightly controlled environment that is going to appear professional. And of course, right now I'm wearing a hoodie and a t-shirt, but for a staff tutorial I'm okay with that. But if I was presenting to kids, I might not be in my full-on suit, but I certainly would be wearing something a little bit more kind of professional looking than I kind of currently am. If I've missed anything on the policy, then, you know, and I would also say go and read the Teams policy, which Mr. Dodd sent out over the weekend, to check that you are following what has been recommended. It may well be that the policy will change over the next couple of weeks as well, you know, from feedback from us, feedback from students, feedback from parents. You know, it may be that these rules and these guidelines I've told you now do change over time. So look at the current policy to see if what I've said is current, and also to see if there's any other instructions or guidelines that I have missed out. So hopefully I realize this video has been a lot of instructions rather than, or advice rather than necessarily me showing you lots of clicks, but I think this has been a very important instruction that you need to know: how you get into the call, how you kind of keep yourself safe, and also the expectations that you would have of the kids. Now you must now watch the next couple of videos, because I'm going to show you lots of other important things: how you record the calls, which is part of school policy, how you share desktops, how you share PowerPoints, how you get loads of apps involved. There's loads of cool things still to show you. So I will see you in the next tutorial.